Hey, welcome to this Kidmin Training to Go. I'm pretty excited for what we have going on tonight. We have a great interview with Josh Humpa, who is the kids pastor at Discover Church in Oak Creek. And I just want to let you know ahead of time. So we recorded this earlier today, and we had it available. We have it available for you right now to watch. But as you'll notice, there was some technical difficulties getting this video going. My mouth and the lips are not synced at all. It looks terrible, but the audio is good, and Josh's information is great. Somewhere about halfway through the video is like 30 some minutes. Halfway through the video, I figured out how to fix it, and so it was fixed about halfway through. Just don't pay attention to my lips. Just listen to what I have to say, at least for the first half of the video. Josh does a great job giving you some tips and tricks for Kidmin. Thanks again for being part of Kidmin Training to Go. God bless you guys. Enjoy the video. So, Josh, it's good to have you with us, and your first weekend at Discover Church at this last weekend. How'd that go?
It was great. It was a wonderful Sunday. We feel so blessed that the Lord has really been good to our church. We went from Oak Creek Assembly of God to Discover Church, and man, there was great momentum and excitement. One of our biggest Sundays outside of Easter that we've ever had. Our biggest Sunday outside of an Easter Sunday.
Yeah, I was just telling Josh that I think it's going to be hard for me to say Discover Church. I'll probably call it Discovery Church. I'm sure I'll call it Oak Creek a number of times, something like that. But Josh, we brought you on here. I'm going to flatter you just a little bit. You are one of the more creative people that I know, and you always have a lot of tools in your toolbox. And so we brought you on and said, could you come on and just talk to us as children's ministries leaders and tell us what types of tools and tricks and tips do you have for us as children's ministry leaders? And I thought maybe we could start off with the whole idea of just working in a service. What types of tools would you recommend for those that have kid ministry services?
I think all of us have this idea of like getting stuck, right? You have your order, and that says you kind of do this at this time, and you keep doing it in that time. And the trick is to not get stuck and just doing what you've always been doing. And so something I saw, it may have been even Brian Dollar's church, is that they're really good about doing a would you rather type question right after worship as a transition point. And a big focus of ours within our kids ministry is we want kids to connect with each other. That it's not just sit down and shut up. We want them to engage and have great friends. And so we always do a would you rather. And so just Googling would you rather. But another big part of that is games. There's some sort of games where it's interactive, where it's not just watch the screen, but instead you have to find a partner, find somebody sitting next to you and play this game. And the website that I use the most is Download Youth Ministries. They have so many game options. It's incredible. And they also have a subscription service. So if you're in it regularly, you're getting games regularly, you can get them at a discount. And sometimes they'll even throw in free stuff in for you. They also have curriculum and countdowns and other video stuff. But really, all I ever get on here is games. And man, they're constantly giving new stuff that goes along with whatever the season or whatever is hot right now. And man, the kids love it. They absolutely love it. And you just build your catalog that in a year from now you can pull out another one. They're usually about $3 to $6 per game, but they are so well worth it. They're very, very fun.
Yeah, I saw, Josh, we used those at Kids Blast. I used them at Kids Blast as MC, and it engages everybody in the audience. And one thing I like about them oftentimes is that the games are not just like you bring somebody up on the platform, but it's a whole group participation many times in the game. So a lot of great games. So good tip.
Another thing that we do is we can never you can't talk to kids, right? Like I tell some of the other pastors that I feel like I could go preach, right? I can go shoot my mouth off whenever I want and preach. But with kids, you always have to have some object lesson or some sort of activity, hands-on thing as well. And it takes so much creativity to figure out something new each week, something that ties in with what you're trying to get across from the word. And so honestly, the greatest tool in doing that is just Googling it. So, for example,
Yeah.
if you're doing a lesson on forgiveness, just Google forgiveness object lessons. And you may have to go through 3 or 4 pages and go through different hits, but you'll see something and something will trigger something in your mind. The Holy Spirit will begin to speak to you. And every week, I haven't bought curriculum in years because Google has so much stuff. There's so much stuff out there that's just available and free. That Googling object lessons or ideas, that's all you need today, which makes it so simple. I've thought, how did kids pastors, even 20 years ago, how'd they do it? You have to have like
Uh,
17 books to do this kind of stuff.
Josh, I have in my basement, I have oodles and oodles of books of object
Yeah.
lessons. Yeah, I mean, I was always buying a $5 to $10 book on object lessons, and I have shelves of them. And so now I've started saying I can't keep all these books, and so I've started digitizing them, but yeah, Google is a big help. I call it Google University, and you'll get education if you go through that. But
Yeah, it's cheap, it's free, right? And the world of creativity is out there. And even just how to learn how to do stuff. You want to do video editing, you want to make a podcast, you want to do anything, just Google it. Whenever other staff members ask me, how do you do this video thing? It's like, well, Google real quick. Let's just Google it, and I'll give you your step by step. That'll be easier than me telling you. And
yeah.
Google everything.
And part of that is YouTube is part of that whole Google process. I mean, YouTube
Right.
is owned by Google, and the second largest search engine in the world is YouTube, right behind Google.
Yeah. Another thing that we do is we use Spotify to play music. So we do music from the beginning to the end, unless the video is being played. So we have hype music, Christian hype music. And if you want to see a sample of what we do, we have Discover Church Kids Music. I just changed the name from Oak Creek Kids. It's Discover Church Kids Music. I think it's a playlist. Just some examples, or even if you want to just use it has nothing to do with our church. It's just music that other creative kids people have put together. But that's the hype music that we play before services and during like hype discussion moments. But we also use background music during messages. And I kind of look at it like this way. It's like a movie, right? There's always like a soundtrack going on in the movie that creates a feeling or, an emotion that's you're trying to communicate, whether it's excitement or suspense or curiosity. And so we play this music in the background, and it's supposed to be just like that, just like in a movie when you don't even notice that it's there, but it's there. And so there's tons and tons of different feel type music. And the reason why I use Spotify is because through the app you can actually control any device from another device. And so if ever I need to change something, or the tech kids aren't paying attention, or whatever, I can always pause, raise the volume from my phone or my iPad back to the computer in the back through Spotify and control it that way. Or if you need to change to a different song or anything, then you have manual control as well from a different device, which is very, very helpful.
Yeah, no, I mean that's awesome that you can do that. So you're talking about just with your phone or an iPad, you can control the house on it. Now, my question for you: can anybody else hijack you on that in the room?
Yes, but only if they have your account information. So we use my personal account, and so sometimes I have to text my wife and say, please do not use Spotify right now. Not that she's listening to anything wrong, anything that she shouldn't be listening to,
Right.
but I don't want her to
That
start listening
interrupt
to-
everything.
Yeah,
You don't want to interrupt the whole thing because all of a sudden you got
Right.
something like, and I didn't mean to play that.
Yes,
Like,
totally kills the mood.
Pastor Josh, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
hardcore death
you're in the
metal.
middle of worship, and all of a sudden some hard rock song or
Yeah.
something comes out. Like, whoa, wow!
Right.
So,
And with that, a great tool that I've used is with ProPresenter. There's actually an app that you can get for your phone or your iPad or whatever tablet phone device you have. And so if you need to control something from the stage, you can control it using your iPad. And so what's great is I don't have an example of it now, but what you can do is you can split screen on the iPad so that Spotify's on one side and then ProPresenter's on the other, and you tap on it and it'll put up the image up on the screen for you. And so if you ever need to just in a pinch, you have to control the screen, you have to control the sound yourself. It's so easy and seamless. It works so quick, and it doesn't even look like you're scrambling around to do stuff. So very, very helpful, especially in those pinch moments.
Yeah, and I suppose there might be times when there's an intentional reason why you want to have control of it for, especially maybe the pro presenter. And so, explain what pro presenter is. I don't know that not everybody may not know what pro presenter is exactly.
Man, this is like across the board in our church. This is like the go-to thing for services. It's a way to manage what's displayed on the screens, whether it's pictures or videos. You can even control music through that if you load it in, Bible verses. And so it's software that you pay for as a church, and man, it makes it so easy to click through and get through something. So it's like an upgrade from like Keynote or PowerPoint. So instead of having
Yeah,
a specific order, you can click on exactly what you want at what time. You're able to arrange things, create playlists, add lyrics. So then you can click the lyrics and change the backgrounds.
yeah,
It's very simple once you learn how to use it,
yeah.
and game changing.
So, like a keynote or PowerPoint on steroids, just
Hmm.
yeah, excellent program and a lot of versatility and a lot of things. You'll probably never end up learning everything that it can do. As there's so much
Right.
that it can do. There's a lot of
There's a
stuff to
lot.
that. So those are some great things for services. Anything else you want to tips or tricks you want to share with us?
Yeah, sure. We love free. Um,
Right?
and so what one of the things that we do is Life Church, Correct Yourselves Church. They have the free Bible app for kids.
Yeah,
My earpods keep moving to my iPad if it's switching over with the sound. But they also have a curriculum here, and so we use that free curriculum with our preschool and nursery. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do that for our church is that we wanted kids. Um, you can do the Bible app at home, and it's the same thing that they're learning at church. And so it's an easy way for kids and parents to be able to interact with each other, right? And like get that stuff. So if you're learning about, let's say Jesus feeds the 5,000 at church, they can go home and they can play with that app, play the games and stuff at home with their parents, kind of talk through it. And that's the idea. And kids love the screens, right? And so it makes it really easy for kids to
yeah.
want to do the Bible. My 4-year-old son is in preschool. Man, that's his excuse to use the iPad. He's like, "Can I use the Bible? Can I play the Bible app?" And he loves it. And it's like, of course,
So
that's your way to read the Bible.
so how do you facilitate your like early childhood teachers to um, encourage using this app at home? Is there something that you send home with parents about that, or what do you do with that?
Yeah, we put up the artwork all around. This curriculum is so nice because it does everything's free, and there's a lot there. We do pad it. We had our own crafts a lot of the time, and in like large group lessons and stuff. Um, but this curriculum is very simple and easy. And so in emails, we really encourage parents to do that. In elementary, we say use the Fire Bible for kids. And then over in preschool and nursery age, we say use this app. There's a physical Bible as well. There's kind of two versions of it, and both are great. It's just those great stories, like the core stories of the Bible.
Yeah,
So just constantly telling people about it when they ask what kind of Bible should I get, telling them posters on the wall, emails, any chance we can, we tell them about it.
yeah. So we put on the screen, if you go to open.life.church, you can find that Bible app for kids and also the curriculum that's there. A lot of great resources there. Great, thank you. Thank you. So let's talk about. Did we talk about planning your service and check-in and stuff like that? I know that you had wanted any recommendations on one check-in process and planning your service, putting it together.
So we use Planning Center. We used to use, boy, what was it called? I don't even remember what it was called, but we've been with Planning Center for a few years now, and it's been wonderful. Everything about it is great. Any changes that we've ever recommended, they've almost immediately have jumped on it, and it's very, very simple, very user friendly. And so we have a few manned stations around the children's areas where if somebody's new, big signs that say if you're new, come here. We have volunteers help them fill out. Otherwise, there's self check-in kiosks where somebody punches in their phone number and they get the sticker for the child with a code and then a code as well. And then even on the back end, man, it is so easy to get the information and data that you need. You can set up so many custom ways to email or reach out to families, create lists that you need to do in order to do follow-ups or to let specific people know how to do things. And then even with registrations for events whether it's Bible quiz or kids choir or like the VBS camps that we do. The registration stuff is so easy and so simple, and even the card processing fees, for the events that you do have to pay for, it's not very expensive. It's very very reasonable. We've been very happy with it, and yeah, highly highly recommend it.
Awesome. So what is people will ask, what is the cost for something like a planning center?
I don't know off the top of my head. We do it
Yeah.
church-wide, and we also, we do the full package as a church. And so for service orders, whether it's in the sanctuary or elementary, even our devotional rotations, we do devos every morning as a staff. We use that for scheduling, that kind of stuff. Our calendar is through Planning Center. I don't know the cost, but felt like as a church, it's extremely worth the value of it.
So what, from my understanding, is it is a tiered pricing system. So it depends on how many check-ins you have per month or week, whatever. I know we use it for family camp. We use it in the kids ministry for different events as well. I use it for planning for Kids Blast and for Summit and things like that. So there's the planning part of it, setting up a service, and then there's the check-in part. And we started using the check-in part, and it's great. I mean, family camp ran so smooth, just checking people in. Like you said, they provide a phone number, they're in, and actually them just setting up their own family on it was pretty fast, pretty slick, and pretty seamless. We had stations all over Spencer Lake Camp, so that was pretty good, and it worked just easy. So great tool, something great to have in your toolbox. And if you're looking for implementation on that, just go to Planning Center. I think it's planningcenter.com. Let me just check there. Planningcenteronline.com. Go to planningcenteronline.com and you'll find all the things you need for that. So, Josh, I know one thing that I saw in you when COVID hit, you had to become very. Let me rephrase that. You showed your creativity very explicitly during COVID, and I don't necessarily say that you became creative during that. You just showed a lot of your creativity during that, and I know you use a lot of different tools to help with that creativity. Maybe you could talk about some media things that you use to maybe online stuff and things like that for people.
During services, it's really important to me, when you're in the building, that the kids aren't just sitting and watching videos, right? That they're not just watching curriculum videos on the screen, because when you're there together in person, that's the magic of it, is in person. But at the same time, and you need screens for kids. I mean, to not have screens now is like you can't do that. Like that's impossible. You have to have a TV or something in there. And so there's so many options out there. It's almost overwhelming on ways that you can do it. I use the Adobe Suite. So Photoshop, you've probably heard of. The video software that they have is Adobe Premiere. There's even more detailed graphics you can get to in Adobe After Effects. And then in recording audio podcasts, Adobe Audition. All of them, there's a learning curve at first because it's professional stuff. And so you can really get into the weeds and get very specific on what you want to do with it. But for general sake, it is very, very simple. But, even if you have like iMovie or something, there's just putting things together, putting things on a timeline and placing it together. That's the majority of what video editing is. Is point and shoot and just get in the right spot. But Adobe, go with that. I've used it since high school and it's great. I transitioned from Final Cut to fully going Adobe, and it's worked well. It's been easier. It gets easier and easier as you continue to use it. And so I do Photoshop for everything as well. I used to do Illustrator, but switched to Photoshop. So that's the video editing software. And then even with recording, all you need is a computer or an iPad or even your phone. I've done a lot of video. I have a 13 Pro. Man, it's like that's all you need. That's all you need to record a lot of most stuff. Is just a good phone, and there you go. Some good mics. This one little trick somebody said once is that even if your video is a little off, your sound has to be good. And so that's the emphasis, is making sure your sound's good. Even if the video is like grainy, it's not shot well, it has to sound good. If it doesn't sound good and the video looks great, they're not going to be on board. Your sound has to be good first. So
Right.
Adobe's great. Um,
I was going
the
to mention
website,
about the phone. The phone. I was with Kyle Joris a couple weekends ago, and he shoots a lot of his videos right from his on his iPhone. He does almost
yeah,
all the videos are on that. So and they look great.
yeah.
They look great.
At this point, now, it's like during COVID, I was using a DSLR, so a Canon, a camera, but then you have to have somebody there to help you make sure things are in focus and get everything set up. You have to go back and forth, like record, check it. So much work, and the quality difference now between a phone. It's like just use the phone for like 90% of the things that you're gonna do. Just use the phone, then you can
Yeah,
get just as good quality.
yeah, yeah. Good tips on that. Anything else in the area of media that you wanted to share with us that you use?
Yeah, if you're really, Photoshop and Adobe Premiere, all that stuff, there's a cost to it and there's a subscription. And as a church, we use it. And so I get, for the children's department, we get lumped into that full cost. But if you're like, man, I don't have the budget for that, or even the time or patience to learn how to do that, there's so many easy options. Canva is a website to make graphics, and they have a lot of already preloaded things. You just change some of the details, and it's beautiful. It's gotten so good. It's gotten so good. It used to be okay, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mediocre at best, but now it is so good and so easy. And so even if you're just looking for ideas on what to do, head to that, get that in.
So it's kind of
Create.
almost like a free version of well, here's one that I was working on right here. I did a conference and tear it up too. I did it in Canva, and so but it's kind of a free version of Photoshop in some ways. Very similar ideas with that.
Yeah, it's very good. Another website that we use is Creation Swap. That's a Christian website, and it's churches, creative people from all over, and they just dump it in. There's another cost to this, but once you pay for the cost, the amount of video loops, so the videos that continually loop in the background, it's like almost endless. Not quite endless, but there are so many options that honestly for a lot of videos, I end up using the background loops that they have here. They're very well done in all different types of just kind of different kind of stuff that you can use. And they have a great thing, this live swap, where you just like Canva, you can change the stuff right in here for a lot of the graphics and the videos, and just put in whatever content you want. And so it takes out, if you're like, man, I'm not creative, or I don't have time to figure out what I want to do exactly, or the patience on the stuff. These options make you look like you know exactly what you're doing, which is what
Yes,
we're all trying to do, right? None of us actually
yes,
know what we're doing. We're all just
yeah,
acting like we know what we're doing. Um, and there's no shame in doing this stuff either.
right,
If you're getting it done and it looks good,
right.
great. No one's gonna ever know unless you
Yes.
tell.
Unless you tell.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes. That's
Now,
excellent.
music and sound effects, those are key, right? Especially doing
Yeah.
videos. Music is everything. And oftentimes it's like you start with music when you're doing videos, finding the right feel and length and build up and all that stuff. And so the subscription that we have is with Soundstripe. They have it's incredible how much music and sound effects they have. Um, we just shot a video, produced a video for the church with our name change. And so if you want to watch it, I'm sure you can find it on the church Facebook. But there's shots of a guy digging in dirt, and we didn't have the audio for that when we recorded. And so I went through here and I found different types of digging. And so everything in the video is fake, but all of the digging noises is the sound effects and the music for the video
Wow.
here as well. Um, and so that's if you want to go for the paid version. If you want to go for the free version, let me tell you this. This you have to dig a little bit. It might take a little bit longer to find it, but it's free. Is YouTube has so many royalty-free music options for you. And so just Google, including your search, royalty-free. That means that somebody's put it up on YouTube and they're saying, have fun, world, use my stuff. Royalty-free. And then just copy that link, and then you'll have to do a little bit of searching, but Google, download YouTube audio or YouTube video, and you'll find a website that'll be able to do that. You just paste the link, and then you have that royalty-free song or sound
Yeah.
effects.
Yeah.
That's really helpful as well.
Yeah. And let me just, everybody should know this, but just it's not ethical to take other people's stuff and use it as your own, unless you paid for it and you have the rights to use it in that way. Um, you'll get shut down on Facebook and YouTube and all these places if they catch you using other people's stuff. So as
Royalty free. Royalty free
royal,
is the key.
royalty free is the key. Yeah, and so you might have to pay some money to get that, but it's worth it, and it's
Right.
definitely worth not having the headache of having to explain what just happened. So yeah,
Right. Right.
especially when your pastor says, "Hey, we just got this letter, a cease and desist letter in the mail. What's that all about?" Yeah, so you
Or
don't
you
want
upload your video, you spent so much time on it, and then they shut it down. It's like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you don't want that. So Josh, we're just about ready to wrap it up here in a couple minutes, but I thought maybe you could help us. Yeah, I know you might have some random ideas or just random tips that maybe not about the service or about media, just different things that you might help in that are in your toolbox that would help some of our kids ministry leaders.
I wrote just a few things down, and just they're kind of scatterbrained. But Siri or Alexa, whatever you have, and reminding you is the best thing. You think about something. I mean, you hear this from smart people: is write down everything as soon as you think about it. You have a creative idea, just write it down. Just have a section in your notes where it's just fun ideas, and then just go through that every once in a while.
Yeah.
I I heard somebody say the greatest lie I ever told myself is that I will remember that,
Yes.
right,
Yeah.
without writing it down.
Yeah.
I'm constantly telling my phone to remind me of this stuff.
I
So
use
no
a
shame in
app.
that.
No, I use an app called Evernote, and I mean
Mhm.
it's all my notes. It's like my second brain, because
Yeah,
you're right. I
yeah,
think I'll remember that, and 10 minutes later, like, what was that? Okay, I got to
right.
write those things down. Especially ideas come to you, thought comes to you, and I've had a few of those just recently. Like I'm writing it down. I'm not going to forget it. And I even did it. I audio notes, whatever it takes, just to remind myself. And they all are stored in there, and I can search them, and so
Yes,
that's a good tip. Yeah, write it down. Write it
a
down.
tool that I
The Bible tells
write it
us to
down,
write it down. It says take the vision and
put it on your
write it
forehead.
down. Yep, put it on your forehead.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
something
Anything
that
else?
helps really fuel. Yeah, something that fuels my creativity. But I also have to catch myself because sometimes I'll watch these things. I'll watch them, and then I just feel so bad about myself. Like I'm the most uncreative person in the whole world. It's just YouTube vloggers. Just find different vloggers about whatever you're interested in. So I'm really into Disney World, Disney stuff. So people going to Disney World, and the way that people capture that stuff, it's incredible, right? It fuels ideas for the future. But then there's also just other random ones. Some of the big ones. I'll let you search them out and find them yourself. But just search vloggers on whatever you're interested in. Camera setups, transitions, even ways to tell the story. It'll influence even your live presentations of how you share stories, because the vloggers today, these are creative ways that people are telling stories about what they're interested in, what they're doing. What we're doing on Sundays is we're communicating the word, and we're trying to do it in the most creative way possible. Like we are very interested in the Bible and teaching what God has to say. And so just watching that for creativity, kind of getting ideas. It may fuel an inspiration for you for the future or for a video or for whatever.
Yeah,
But don't get down on yourself. You're thinking like, man, these guys are so good.
yeah,
How could I ever get that way?
yeah,
But if you see
yeah,
something like a transition, Google like how to do, vlogger transitions or something like that.
yeah. I know one of the dangers of social media, and I mean, researchers will tell you that people it can spur depression in people because they compare themselves to the exemplified life that they see in some social media posts, and that's not necessarily reality. But one
Right.
thing I've kind of lived by, and God just continues to remind me, is to not compare myself to where somebody else is at, and say, I'm not there, I can't be there, or I won't be there, but compare yourself to where you were yesterday,
Yeah.
and just
Yep.
keep learning, and take joy in the fact that I'm moving forward and I'm going from where I was to where I'm at now. You know, a lot of people found out during COVID that, hey, I can do video editing because I have to,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I would say most of us, not very few people, will say, yeah, I'm exactly where I want to be, but we can all get better, and these things in your toolbox can help you get better.
Yeah.
Watch these vloggers, watch these clips, learn from them. You know, a lot of them. What's cool about a lot of them is, you know, they make this cool clip, and then they'll have another thing where they'll show you how they did it. And
Hmm.
so a lot of great materials out there available to us. Yeah.
I've thought, um, for those that are on TikTok, for the kids that are in TikTok, it's like that's what it's video editing, right? Whether it's screen, it's
Yeah.
composition, it's all that stuff. And it's like these kids know how to do this stuff, like easier and better than any of us. They may not be doing it on a professional level, but they're doing
Right.
the very basics regularly and doing it very well in creative and fun ways. And so, even if there's somebody else that you have to ask to do it for you, ask
Yeah.
them because they know what to do. But also, the kids that's what they're
Right.
seeing. They're expecting good quality stuff like this now, or creativity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another idea that I have when it comes to just making your day simpler is ordering stuff online. Just get stuff
Yeah.
ordered online and have it either shipped to you or pick it up early. Don't waste your time in the stores anymore. There's no reason to do it,
Yeah.
and there's no shame in doing that as well. And so something I'm just gonna order it online and pick it up and save the 15-20 minutes of actually going into the store.
Yeah.
Amazon, sometimes I've joked, Amazon, this VBS is brought to you by Amazon.
Right. Right.
They have everything for us.
Right.
Yeah. And last final little thing is something that I've learned when it comes to volunteer appreciation. This is a tool that I just used it yesterday with somebody. You may not have a lot of money, right? You may not, especially when you have a lot of volunteers. Boy, how can I really help everyone feel appreciated? Food. Your greatest tool
Yeah.
in volunteer appreciation is food. It's cheap. Everybody loves to eat food, and it makes you feel good. Even if it's a
Right.
dollar candy bar, if it's a crumble cookie, people love food. And so
Yeah.
give thanks by giving food.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, your volunteers are going to help you with it. I mean, the best thing, I spent my first 10 years of ministry, Josh. Not necessarily, I wasn't necessarily a lone ranger, but I tried to do a lot of stuff on my own. And actually, I should say 10 years, my first 5 years in ministry, I was doing a lot of stuff on my own. And I recognized I couldn't do it alone after 5 years. And uh, I had teams, but I didn't rely on those teams. And ever since that time, I just said, you know, teams are important, but, you know, there is an art to the care and feeding of volunteers and taking
Yes.
care of them.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Yeah.
So if you're a volunteer that's watching, um, there are people that you work with that are helping you out. You've asked to come help in a classroom. You know, share them a little love. Give them a little treat when they come in. Say, hey, thanks, appreciated you today. Um, I I think that's probably one of your best toolbox tips is that take care of the people that help the ministry happen. We are all part of the body of Christ. We need one another, and we need people to know that we see what they're doing and we appreciate what they're doing, and we show that appreciation in lots of different ways. Not just food, but in other ways too. Kind words. I mean, some people's love language is a little different than others, but I
Yeah.
think that's one thing too is just getting to know what is important to another person.
Yeah.
And so one of the things you gave a tip of writing it down. So sometimes when I hear somebody say, "Man, I really like crumble cookies," I'm
Yeah.
thinking,
Write
okay,
it
I'm gonna
down.
write that down. That Josh really likes crumble cookies. And just put it in
Yeah.
my note in Evernote, and I'll say, hey, I'll just type Josh Humpa, and all of a sudden comes up, oh, he likes crumble cookies. Josh Humpa loves Disney World. All things
Yeah.
Disney. So a Disney ornament may be coming your way this Christmas. I'm not sure, but something like that. So good tips, Josh. Hey, you know what? You're a really good friend to our kids ministers here in this network, and we appreciate who you are and the just you're authentic. You work hard. you do things that are excellent. And so we appreciate you. And I know anybody in our network, if you have questions, Josh is always open to answering any of your questions. You
Yes.
can call him at Discover Church in Oak
Yeah,
Creek, and
absolutely.
he'd be glad to help you in any way. Now, I do have to mention one thing, Josh. I'm looking at your back wall here, and I'm going to make you bigger here. So tell us a little bit about what you have on your wall here.
All right. So I love Disney, but my favorite thing is Batman and then superheroes. And so I have a lot of, on the opposite wall that you can't see, I have a lot of Funko Pops. And I'll tell you what, this is a tool too. There's actually, besides me just being obsessed with the stuff that I like, this serves such a great tool. My office is known as the Toolbox, or I'm sorry, the Toy Box, not the
Yeah.
Toolbox. I'm talking about tool. This is the Toy Box office. But kids, especially new kids, they come into my office and look at all of the different toys and stuff that I have, and it's like this instant trust. It's crazy. It's like there's an instant trust and instant like, all right, you're cool, and so it's been really, it's fun to bring people, the kids in and see, hey, check this out. Oh, look at this thing, and
Yeah.
that helps.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, be intentional about your surroundings and your environment. I think that's what I hear. Of course, I think you're a little bit of a fanatic on all that stuff too, though. You just you're like, you love it so much, but it's but I
the toys that
appreciate
made
it.
us.
It's the toys that made it. Yeah, I just watched an episode of that just the other day. Toys that made America or something like that.
Yeah.
So cool stuff. Well, Josh, thank you for being with us, and I want to pray for everybody. We have one more Kidmin training to go coming up next month. We're going to talk about working with teams, and so we're going to have pairs of Kidmin leaders and lead pastors, and we're going to have youth pastors that are part of that discussion next month. So how do we work as teams? But Josh, thank you for being with us. I want to pray for everybody. Lord, I just pray, Father, whatever tools that we have, that we would use them for the glory of God. And I thank you for Josh sharing with us what he uses. And Father, maybe we can't use every tool, but we can use some of those tools. I mean, there's a range of tools all the way from free to tools that we may have to pay for or find the resources for. And I pray for those churches that if they have that desire to have that tool, I pray that you would make it happen. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. I just want to encourage everybody out there that God, if you saw a tool that was on here, ask. I mean, maybe even like, he talked about the Adobe Suite. Your church may have already owned the Adobe Suite and be willing to help you with utilizing that and using that in some way. But I know we just had a church that needed planning center, and we were able to help them pull together the resources that they needed so that they could make a presentation to the board, and the board approved it. I know God, sometimes we don't have because we don't ask. And so don't be afraid to ask and say, hey, I'd like to investigate this tool. And then if you get that tool, make sure you utilize it. Utilize it for the kingdom of God, and don't let it sit on a shelf, but utilize it so that it can be used for the God's glory and the kingdom of God. So again, Josh, thank you for being with us today. And we'll see those of you coming up in our next Kidmin training to go. God bless you guys. Thanks.